Hey, good morning. This is Warren from Honed by Jones Sharpening Service here in Carson City, Nevada. I thought I would take some time today to do a deep dive into each of the sharpening systems that I use in my sharpening service, why I use them, and how my sharpening service evolved. I get a lot of questions. I get a lot of emails, texts, Facebook messages, Instagram messages. Why do you use that system? Why do you like that system? How long have you used that system? How is that system working for you? How do you use that sharpening system in your business? I'm going to try to answer all of these today. Hopefully this video won't take too long. I do have the garage door open right now, so if it gets noisy, I'll stop and I'll close the garage door and then I'll come back, but I think I can get through it pretty quickly. So this is the EdgePro Bevel Tech. This is a fixed angled system from EdgePro. I've been using EdgePro fixed angled sharpeners for years. I'm gonna guess I started using EdgePro fixed angled sharpeners, let's say 6-7 years ago. They're the kind of the first sharpening system that I really used professionally as a sharpener, because for a long time I was a kind of hobby side hustle sharpener, whereas now it's my full-time job. So this was the first kind of real system that I got after whetstones. I originally started out trying to use an $8 whetstone that I bought at Ace Hardware to sharpen my own knives. Then I got nicer whetstones, and when I finally figured out that I wanted to get an actual sharpening system, EdgePro was the first system that I went with. So this is their latest sharpener. It's called the Bevel Tech. The reason I like EdgePro systems is their versatility, their reliability, customer service. That's why I like EdgePro sharpening. Oh, and the results, of course, the sharpening results I get. I get precise bevels, I get super sharp knives, super sharp scissors. That's mainly what I use their systems for. So I get great results. The company provides good customer service. I've never had anything break on one of their systems. I did drop something once and on my concrete garage floor and it broke, but nothing on any of these systems has broken during use. So yeah, all I can say is great stuff about EdgePro systems. I know there are a variety of fixed angled sharpeners out there, but these have worked well for me. Now, speaking of the word variety, one of the things I like, let me swap the Bevel Tech out of the way here. One of the things I like about their systems, this is the EdgePro Apex right here. Okay, so that's the EdgePro Apex. This one has the knife sharpening attachment on it. The Bevel Tech had the scissor sharpening attachment on it. One of the things I like about their systems is that the lack of a clamp allows particularly this knife sharpening attachment. So I'm not talking about the scissor sharpening attachment because that one does clamp scissors. But with the knife sharpening attachment, one of the things I like so much about this system is that you can pretty much sharpen any kind of knife, any size, any shape, with ease, because it does not clamp the knife in place. Now, some people think that not clamping the knife in place is some sort of huge deal that is gonna ruin the sharpening process and you're not gonna end up with a sharp knife. That has not been my experience. I've been able to get razor sharp knife after razor sharp knife after razor sharp knife using the EdgePro systems. Do I also think that the systems that clamp could work well? Sure, but I don't find them to be. I have one, a company sent me one, I never use it because when I go to put the knife in the clamp, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, plus it's not made as well as the EdgePro systems. So I keep coming back to these, even though I've tried a couple of other systems, because of what I said at the beginning when I first started talking about them. They're versatile, they're reliable, their customer service is good, and the results I get when I'm sharpening on the EdgePro systems is great. In my mind, it's kind of those what more do I need kind of things, all right? So those are my two EdgePro fixed angled sharpeners. Let me move them out of the way because we are gonna keep on keeping on going through the systems that I use in my shop. Currently, I pretty much only use 3 systems in my shop. So the first one is the EdgePro system that I just gave you a look at. Now, this is a system that many of you, of course, recognize. This is the Tormek T8 sharpener. I use the Blackstone. Let me turn it around another way here. This is the Tormek T8 sharpener with the Blackstone on it. I think you can see it pretty well there. I have the extended bar on it. I tend to use the Tormek T8 for most of the knives that come into my shop. I like the Blackstone. I know it's some people are already typing in the comments, why are you not using CBN stones or diamond stones? I've owned several CBN stones before. I did not like sharpening on them. I prefer the feel and the edge that the Blackstone or the original grindstone leaves. To each their own. If you prefer diamond stones or CBN stones, that is great. Use diamond stones or use CBN stones. I prefer the Blackstone. I do not mind the fact that it changes size over time. I do not mind the fact that it changes size over time, and I do not mind the fact that I have to regularly grade this stone to get it where I want it, because the performance and the reliability and the consistency that I get from this system is so great for me that I feel like my sharpening has gone up a notch from where it used to be. One of the main reasons that I also started using this system is I do a lot of pop-ups and farmers markets, and to be honest, I just got tired of having to wear PPE all the time. So when I'm sharpening on the Tormek, it takes a little bit longer, right, than my old belt sanders system that I used before. But I also don't have to stop sharpening while I'm talking to a customer. I use the, when I'm on a belt sander, I use the 3M quick release mask, right? So when I'm on a belt sander, I have this mask on. I have to quick release the mask so I can talk to the customer. I have to stop sharpening. I have to walk over and interact with that, or not walk over, but I have to turn and interact with that customer. When I'm using the Tormek T8, I actually keep this set up at the front table of my booth at pop-ups and sharpening and farmers markets that I sharpen at, and I don't stop. I say to the person when they walk up, they say, "Hello, I have a question." I say, "Great." I stop what I'm doing literally for just a couple of seconds. I look up and I say, "Do you mind if I continue to sharpen while I answer your question?" And they say, "Nope." And I just keep on sharpening on the Tormek. They ask me, how long is my current wait? How many knives can I sharpen? Am I sharpening on site? Blah, blah, blah. All the questions that you get when you are a pop-up and farmer's market sharpener. I just keep on going it most of the time when I'm working on the Tormek. So there are, there's a disadvantage, I would say, to using the Tormek is in that it takes longer. You have to deal with the water trough and changing that out. I usually change it out a couple of times per market. All of those things take time. But you also save a lot of time when you're sharpening on the Tormek. At least for me, I save a lot of time when I'm sharpening on the Tormek because I can keep sharpening and talking at the same time. I also love the fact that I don't have to wear PPE. It's heading into the winter at the Reno Riverside Farmers Market. I like to wear baseball caps or some kind of cap, and when it gets cold, I have to put a beanie on, and then trying to deal with this around maybe having a hood or a beanie or whatever. When I'm sharpening on the Tormek, not an issue. I wear whatever I want on my head to keep it warm in the cold weather, and I can just sharpen away, never having to deal with a respirator. So, what else do I like about sharpening on the Tormek? I don't know. Like I said, I just like the feel. I like the body. I like the body English. Is that the right term I want to use? Yeah, the body English that I have to use to kind of move back and forth while sharpening on the Tormek. I find it kind of zen and fluid sharpening on the Tormek, and I really like that experience. The main thing is, though, the customer feedback I get from the knives that I sharpen on the Tormek it's always the most positive customer feedback. The most positive customer feedback I get about my knife sharpening from chefs at restaurants, from people who live in the community, Carson City, here where I live, from people who live in Reno, is when they get knives that I've sharpened on this machine. That's the number one positive customer feedback I get. So I have switched my business model from focusing on speed. I used to try and figure out what's the fastest belt sander setup I can do to get through as many knives as possible. I've switched my focus to how can I get the most consistent, best results. And that is why I like to sharpen on the Tormek T8 over many other systems that I've tried. So far you've got the EdgePro fixed angle systems, Tormek T8. I think I explained that pretty thoroughly, what I like about the Tormek T8. I tend to like to use the extended bar on my Tormek setups. I have two of them. This one I bought new. I can't remember if I bought it at Sharpening Supplies or Amazon. I bought this new maybe a year ago or so. I also have a very used Tormek T8 right over here out of frame that I bought a few weeks ago off of a local knife maker who's moving to another state, and he was trying to get rid of some of his equipment. So I got a used Tormek T8 over here that's probably 10 years old or something like that. All right, so let me move on. Let me tell you the final system, because I don't use that many systems in my sharpening service anymore. Let me get this Tormek out of the way. What's the best way to grab this without knocking over my coffee? Get it back on its bench over here. Okay, so the Tormek goes there. Now, the final system we're going to talk about, and the newest system in my sharpening service, is the Brodbeck Ironworks Pirate Sharpening System, and I'm actually going to give it a 180. I'm going to turn it around the other way. I nicknamed this thing the Brick. Actually, I'm not going to turn it all the way around. I think I'm going to turn it like so. Something like that. That gives you a pretty good view of it. Let me lean it up so you can see it a little better here just for a second from the side. So that's the that is the Brodbeck Ironworks Pirate Sharpening System. It is a 1x42 variable speed sharpener. And the reason that I ordered this from Brodbeck Ironworks is that I was looking for a belt sander. I like the Tormek so much that I wanted a belt sander where I could use the same body English, the same movements on a belt sander that I use on the Tormek. I probably use this belt sander in about, I'm gonna say, I might have to stop the video. I think there is a street cleaner that might be coming down our street soon. Okay, so I'll stop it if I need to. So I wanted a belt sander that I could use in the same fashion that I use the Tormek in. So I'm talking to the guys from Brodbeck, and they have their own proprietary tool rest, and the tool rest that they make has its own spacing between these two vertical bars, and it has its own bar diameter, right? So it has a different bar diameter. Well, as I'm chatting back and forth with them, messaging back and forth, they say, hey, if you're a Tormek guy, we can drill out our mounting block for the tool rest. So there's a little mounting block for the tool rest. They say we can drill that out so that it fits your Tormek T8 bar. So this bar is actually the bar that originally came on this Tormek T8 when I purchased this machine. So this is not the Brodbeck Ironworks tool rest. This is the Tormek tool rest. So the great thing about that is that, I think I have all my jigs all my jigs are on the other side of the workshop. I'm gonna walk out of frame and I'm just gonna go get one. Hold on for a second here, I'll be right back. So this is one of my Tormek jigs, right? So this, as I'm sharpening on this belt sander, I can use a Tormek jig that I'm very familiar with, that is in my hands every day as I'm sharpening on the Tormek. Now when I go to sharpen on a belt sander, I have the same movements, the same fluid back and forth movement that I like on the Tormek. Same setup on the Brodbeck Ironworks Pirate Sharpening System. I can also, if I want to use the chisel or plain blade sharpener from Tormek, the SE77, right? If I want to use it on a belt sander, I can slide this over the Tormek bar, because since I'm using a Tormek bar on an actual Tormek tool rest on this belt sander, I can use any of the Tormek jigs that fit on the Tormek bar, that have the right diameter for the Tormek bar. So I can use this one here. I can use the scissor sharpener for the Tormek on this belt sander. And actually, let's talk about the scissor sharpener. I'm gonna try this. I haven't tried it yet. You guys know how if you use a Tormek, how sometimes when you're sharpening, the scissors can howl. One of the things I'm thinking about doing, if I want to machine sharpen scissors, now, to be fair, most of the scissors I sharpen on the EdgePro with the scissor sharpening attachment. 80-90% of scissor sharpening I do is done by hand. On occasion, for some kind of reason, I want to do it on a machine. And you know how when you're using a Tormek, those scissors can start to vibrate and howl as they get near the tip? And it's just the vibration that's going through the scissors? So I'm going to try using the Tormek scissor sharpening attachment on this Brodbeck Ironworks 1x42 because I've got the Tormek tool rest set up on this sharpener. So let me give you some information about this sharpener. I already said it comes from Brodbeck Ironworks. The Brodbeck is spelled without an A, so it's Brodbeck, Brodbeck. I'll show it to you. This thing, I swear, it's a heavy little brick, but I can lift it up. So there you go, Brodbeck Ironworks, right? So you can look them up. I think they're BrodbeckIronworks.com. I haven't looked at their website in a minute. What was I going to say? It's a variable speed belt sander. I think the top speed is maybe 1700 RPM. It's got a knob right here for tracking, but it tracks so nicely that I rarely have to adjust the tracking. Sometimes just a little bit left or right. One of the interesting things about this particular belt sander is, as you can see, the super large pulley wheels. I think it's because Brodbeck is a company that makes 2x72 belt sanders and maybe even larger ones for knife makers. I think they just make their stuff kind of extra heavy duty. So this wheel that is on, get my fingers out of here, this wheel is actually about a 6-inch wheel, and this wheel is about a 5-inch wheel. So it runs really smooth. It tracks really nicely. I love belt sanders that only have 2 pulleys and are super straightforward and super simple to use. I've got an injured thumb, but let me see if I can do this. If I want to change the belt, it's as easy as, you really can't see it from there. Knocked over my tape measure, all good. So if I want to change the belt, I push, this is the front of the machine. I call this the front where the tool rest is. You push on the front part here, pops the belt loose. If you want to retension the belt, there's a knob right here. So these 2 knobs are to hold the platen on. There's actually a platen right there that you can use, or you can use or remove depending on what you want. But if you want to retension it, you simply pull this knob right here. There's a black knob right here, and you pull that and it smoothly retensions. And then it tends to track really nicely once you do that. So that's changing the belt. So that is the Brodbeck's Ironwork 1x42, and that's it. In my shop, 99.9% of the work I do is done either on the T8 or one of the Edge. So I got all of them in the picture here. Here we go. Either 99% of the work I do is on the T8, Tormek T8 sharpening system, on the EdgePro sharpening systems. I have 2 of these, and now on the Brodbeck Ironworks Pirate sharpener. That's it. I really, there's one more thing. I almost forgot. There's one more machine I use quite often. Tormek T2 Professional. It's a modified Tormek T2 Professional Kitchen Knife Sharpener. I did not pay a cent for this sharpener, and I'm going to pause the video because here comes that street cleaner. I'll be right back. Okay, plan B. I just closed the garage door. So to finish up this video, I forgot one system that I use very regularly. That is the Tormek T2 Pro Kitchen Knife Sharpener. As I was saying, I didn't pay a cent for this. I actually had traded a customer. A customer had purchased this for himself. He's a knife collector, and he had purchased this, and he didn't really like it. He used it. He tried it on one knife, didn't like how it worked, and he said it was just sitting in his garage, basically brand new. So I traded him for this setup with 2 diamond wheels, and I gave him that much credit in sharpening. So, I don't remember, it might have been $500 worth of credit for sharpening or something like that. He's got the gift card. I don't remember the exact number. Point is, what I then did is I modified this Tormek T2 kitchen knife sharpener. I actually I took a cutting wheel and my Dremel, or maybe I used an angle grinder. I can't remember. I probably used both actually. And I removed the wheel, and then I cut the guide that you used to slide the knife in. I think it came from this side. Maybe you slid the knife back and forth and then you switch over and go like so. I cut that whole unit off because I wanted a freehand, slow speed diamond wheel sharpener. So sometimes if I'm adjusting bolsters or doing other kind of work, sometimes I'll use this diamond wheel. This is the lower grit diamond wheel. What grit is this one? This one is upside down. There we go. 200 grit diamond wheel. I also have a 600 grit diamond wheel that came with it, which I don't use a lot of. But this has been nice to just have a freehand, slow speed moving diamond wheel that I can use for doing various things when I'm sharpening in the workshop or farmers markets. But the main use of this machine is this is the composite honing wheel from Tormek that fits on the T2, and I literally strop every single knife that comes into my shop. This is how I strop on the Tormek composite wheel. I don't use leather wheels, I don't use leather belts, I don't use paddle strops, I don't use diamond emulsion, I don't use any of the, I have them, but I don't use any of the stropping compounds. Composite honing wheel on the Tormek strops literally every single knife that comes in and out of my shop. And the main reasons I started doing that is I was looking for consistency. And I found with the compounds, depending on how much or little that I applied, how new or old or stretched the belt or the wheel was, it tended to not give me as consistent results as this Tormek composite wheel does. So for now, my plan is just to keep using this for stropping until this thing wears out, and then just buy another one and stick it on here and keep stropping on this. So this is kind of a dual purpose machine. So that is literally, that's all I use in 99.9% of the sharpening I do, whether I take all of those systems I've just shown you, the Tormek T8, this guy here, the modified Tormek T2, the 2 fixed angled systems that I have, and the Brodbeck Ironworks systems, pirate system that I have, the 1x42. That's what I take to every farmer's market, every pop-up I do. That's actually also the same machines I use every day in my home workshop. That's it. I hope that gives you guys a thorough look at what I've used. If you followed my channel for any amount of time, I've used a bunch of belt sanders, I've used a bunch of different systems, but I am really trying to simplify. I'm really trying to not be one of those shops that just keeps piling up with more and more machines and more complexity. I'm trying to keep it simple and uniform and consistent and really great results. And so that's why for now I have narrowed it down to those systems. Support, if you like the looks of any of these systems that I've talked about, support the businesses. EdgePro's at edgeproinc.com. They make really great fixed angle systems. Y'all know how to find a Tormek. You can find Tormeks all over the place. Sharpeningsupplies.com, Amazon, various other places. I gotta look up Brodbeck Ironworks. I'm recording on my phone and my iPad's in the house, so I can't look up Brodbeck Ironworks at the moment, but I believe they're BrodbeckIronworks.com. Check out their pirate system, 1x42 sharpener, if that might be a system that you're into. All right. This is Warren from Honed by Jones Sharpening Service right here in Carson City, Nevada, and I will catch you on the flip side. Later. Hey, this is Warren from Honed by Jones, and one more thing to finish up this video today, and that is a disclaimer that anything I said about these sharpening systems is subject to change. So one of the interesting things that happens is that I post a video on YouTube about a particular sharpening system. Sorry, there's a car going by. We'll wait 1, 2, 3. So I will post about a particular sharpening system, like today, posting about the EdgePro systems or the Tormek or the Brodbeck Ironworks systems. I'll post about those systems, and then someone will write me 6 months later and say, hey, the specs of how you describe that system aren't how I ordered one, and it's not how that system works anymore. That's not up to me. That's up to you when you order a system, a sharpening system, to go look at the specs and see if it's the same as the 6-month-old YouTube video you're watching, or the year-old or 2-year-old video that you're watching. You need to do your research, you need to do your homework, and make sure that that machine still works the way as the old video that you're watching from however many months or years in the past. Yeah, you need to do that research yourself and make sure that it still works the same way. All right, that's the disclaimer. This is Warren from Honed by Jones. It's a beautiful sunny day here. I hope it is where you're at too. I'll catch you on the flip side. Later.